Hello, bad movie lovers. I'm Nick Sheist,
the master of the stupid stuff,
and host of Bad Movies We Love, the podcast where we take a lovingly critical look at movies that may have fallen short of expectations, but left an indelible impact on our hearts. Every week, we dive into a different maligned movie. From mega flops to cult classics to B-movies to forgotten disasters, we laugh, we love, we ponder, and maybe, just maybe, we feel things. Along the way, we drop behind-the-scenes trivia, spin our bonus wheel of hypotheticals, compose heartfelt haikus, we face the reality of Critics Corner, and prescribe the perfect gateway drug movies to expand your bad movie horizons. So if you've ever said, this movie sucks, but I love it anyway, you're in the right place.
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Look for Bad Movies We Love wherever you get your podcasts and join us for the journey. Because sometimes the best movies are the worst ones. Oh, hello there. You are now listening to Cunk'd, a transatlantic production of the Sheist Podcast Network. Welcome to Cunk'd, a very unofficial podcast, hosted by Nick Sheist and Skadooosch. So join us as we celebrate the life and work of Philomena Cunk'd, beginning with Cunk'd on Earth, Episode 1, In the Beginnings. For Episode 1, we start, it's literally called In the Beginnings. I'm just going to read this little brief description they have here. It says, humankind emerges from the caves and starts inventing, from farming and thinking to the Great Wall of China. But who forgot to build the roof? And so this is episode 1. You know, she asks if there's a great roof of China. They talk about, because that's a very childlike question in that way. In that, there's a great wall. They're talking about whether or not you can see it from space, and she ultimately asks if there's a roof. Because there's walls. It seems like a close enough question where if you were explaining the Great Wall of China to a kid in school and they're learning about it for the first time, it would seem like a question that you would hear in the classroom.
Exactly. I think that's they absolutely nails it. And I think other questions like that, as you say, which sound stupid. They sound absolutely stupid. And then a small part of your brain just kicks in and starts to consider it. And then you're trying to do that whilst you're bursting out laughing at the same time. For example, when she asks one of the experts about her mate Paul, her famous mate Paul, who will come up in a lot of these shows, when he was driving to Winchester and a lorry jackknifed in front of him and he thought he was going to die, so he prayed to Jesus and said that if he saved him, then he would believe in him. And Paul didn't die, but he did break both of his legs and fracture his skull. And the follow-up question is, why did Jesus do that to him? And on one side, you've got a very serious kind of the idea of, well, if God is all on, and again, so already we're starting to think about the actual answer to that question, whilst we're balancing it with with her mate Paul, with Jesus hating her mate Paul so much he broke both his legs and fractured his skull.
Yeah, and so that comes across as sort of like someone who doesn't understand the concept, right? Like someone who is speaking from a theological perspective would break this down and explain that, like Jesus didn't do this to him. Like this is sort of like what happens when you pray and it's not always answered, right? However, it's a smart enough question to undermine that theological perspective while doing it in a way that seems very innocent. It's like you're circumventing the argument that like prayer is going to work for you before even getting to that part of the question. So she structures a lot of that stuff very well. And I think the bigger the topic, or at least the more like intellectual the topic, she's well prepared for those situations, but then she can play around with the dumb stuff too. They're talking about the first thing she talks about in this is the evolution of like human beings,
Yeah.
right? And she's asking if people were made of the same kind of meat back then that they are now. And the guy's looking at her like, I don't even know what this means. I don't know how to begin to answer this question. And that whole conversation between the two of them, I think it sets the bar early in the season with that being the question first. And she asks if there's a brand name for meat, right? Was there a different brand name for their kind of meat? And if you're the person who's sitting there like, wow, I dedicated my life to really like Neanderthal studies and Homo habilis and evolution, and this lady's asking me if there's a beef or pork name,
for humans.
but that made me ask the question.
For humans,
yeah. But it made me want to ask you, like, what is a good name for human brand flesh?
I thought about this. I did think about this, and what is the suggestion she comes up with? I think, which is like, was it like Horf or Morph?
Horf,
or something like that. I would. What have we got? Beef, which is cow. Pork, which is pig. Chicken, which is chicken. I mean,
poultry, I guess.
Let's just call it man meat. Let's just call it man meat. Very Lord of the Rings, very direct.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to the shelf and you're going to buy a big tube of man meat, then maybe that's not the thing you want to advertise as a grocery store. They're gonna take you to a focus group for that one, but Horf is not necessarily better.
Sorry, madam. Which aisle is the man meat on? Go to it's no longer on an aisle, sir. It has its own delicatessens. Go to the man meat counter. It's at the bottom of aisle 13.
So we start with that kind of, I think, lightheartedness, right? And then we get to the point a little bit later. She's talking about evolution, civilization, the development of the wheel, right? And so I think one of the things that was most disarming for me about the show is, like, I don't know who she is when I start this show. I don't know what the idea of the show is, other than, like, you gave me a little bit of a hint. But then the presentation of it, like the production quality of the show, is good enough for the most part that if you were to watch it on mute, you would not be able to tell the difference. And I think if you're not prepared for it to be a comedy, you may take it the wrong way. And as we'll get to later, there's definitely people that see clips of her sort of like in a vacuum and react very strongly. So I want to make sure that we save that. But this description of the wheel, like, she's doing a fairly good job of it until it comes to the point where the wheel moves the entire Earth.
It gives you the so illusion close that you're moving when you actually are. As you said at the beginning, there is a real skill. And this is the thing that annoys me is that I think, as you say, if people take her literally, which I do find, I'm just going to say it, I do struggle that people do take her literally. Maybe that's a cultural thing. I do understand perhaps that Americans may find her, it may take a little bit longer to realize that she's a comedy character or taking the mick. But for those that clearly don't understand, they seem to think, oh, she's just so dumb. And not just that she's dumb, she's wasting these experts' time. She's wasting the BBC and Netflix budget, and she's wasting my time. The thing about comedy is that if you don't get the joke, it can send you off the cliff very quickly, very, very quickly. And that it's very hard to get back to the top of the cliff again, because I know that's what satire is in many ways, but the skill in which she's setting up the joke, because she's not just going to give you a normal demonstration or a physics lesson in how wheels work. You know that's not what this is going to be. You know that a joke is coming, but it's the way that it's steadily built up. And as you say, she's going in the right direction, and then all of a sudden, left turn off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, she's constantly taking us on this journey that we're sort of like cheering for her to be correct or to say the right thing or to be in the conversation with the expert that actually like has a good point. And every time that the momentum is building in that direction, we get the rug pulled out from under us. But then on those other times where it feels like the train is completely off the tracks, all of a sudden she lands something amazing, and you see the expert have to like shift and make this huge concession that, wow, you know what? You see it in their face. I've judged you as a moron.
Yes.
But you're actually making me have to concede that this is a good question. And I don't like that. So, they continue along the sort of the evolutionary ladder, right? They're talking about the invention of the written word, and they're looking at the first tablet with written words on it. And so she sets it up with like a kind of dumb question in the beginning of if this was read out loud, would that be the first audiobook? And so
can we
get that whole setup.
Sorry to interject. He's my favorite expert.
Go for it.
He's my favorite expert. This guy that they have in, and Diane Morgan's gone on to say that he's her favorite expert as well. The huge white beard, the Santa Claus beard.
I think his name is Professor Finkel. Yes,
Irving Finkel. Yeah, and he is a beautiful example. Clearly, this guy is a very, very intelligent man, a lifelong academic. And here he is on one side, and on the other side is Philomena. And when she asks him, she works in, doesn't she? She talks about the writing, how it can't be a very good book because it doesn't even have a cover. and he asks her the question, "Are you one of those people who judges a book by the color?" And she just, yeah, I am. Yeah. He says, "Well, that is a very sad and misguided view." And I don't know. I just think in that moment that encapsulates the show so perfectly, because it's probably one of the few times that actually anyone does rebuke her. I think it's one of the very, very few times that she actually receives a rebuke from an expert. But even so, it's in such a kindly and kind of like almost like, I don't know, patriarchal kind of way. Like he's gently kind of giving her the life lessons that she needs. But then again, and that's it. That's it. Clearly, that's the setup to this piece, is her asking a dumb question, him giving her an earnest and compassionate answer, whilst trying to teach her, and then she lands the audiobook question. And he takes some time. He takes some time, doesn't he? He takes some time to consider it.
He does.
And then, but that's why the punchline is so good, because he takes that time to really think, if someone did read it out loud, would it have been the first? No.
Yeah. And he does the same thing again when, they're talking just about the invention of writing, and she asks him again, like, is what's like a more important invention, like this or acid jazz? And he ponders it. He stops and he's like, what? I think I would still give the edge to written communication.
Was writing more of a flash in the pan than, say, rap metal? and again,
right.
Just hearing the words rap metal be used as part of this question to this like, I'd be very surprised if Professor Irving Finkel was familiar with rap metal. But then when she switches to acid jazz, as you say, he really does give it some consideration. He does.
He may enjoy acid jazz.
I think he does.
As it turns out.
He does. That one had him.
Look at that beard.
I mean, I would love to watch just a little clip of Philomena Cunk'd introducing Irving Finkel to Limp Bizkit. or Cypress Hill's Skull and Bones album.
There's also a quality of like at least a little bit of acknowledgement of like some self-deprecating humor in the character as well. She's talking to somebody about mummies, and she asked like if they could ride bikes. And in the asking of that question, she like stopped herself. She's like, I don't even know why I asked that. That's so stupid. You know.
Well, she does have. I mean, what I like is because up until this, but where this sits, Cunk'd on Earth was really. So she was part of the weekly wipes. Has had a small part in that, and then they built her up to a bigger section, which was Moments of Wonder with Philomena Cunk'd. And then I think then she had her own little series, and then Cunk'd on Earth was the big one. This is kind of her kind of coming out party. So it's interesting when I watched the first episode back to notice a number of times, as you said, there are those moments of vulnerability in this episode whereby, and I think that's important. I wonder if that was a strategic choice by the writers. To give her a little bit more depth other than just this almost kind of stupid, as we say, kind of moron asking people questions. And as you say there, where she is self-deprecating, she says, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I asked that. And later on, there's a moment where she gets a quote by Aristotle confused. And
and the crushing look of disappointment on her face when it is confirmed that Aristotle did not say dance like no one's watching. Like, yeah, I think the vulnerability is important. I think you hit the nail on the head there, because in structuring like you're doing probably reasonably long form interviews here with these people. And so it is this combination of somebody who doesn't care as much as the expert that she's talking to, somebody who is kind of representative of a mass population that just doesn't care about this stuff in general, but then somebody who is acknowledging that while they aren't smart or educated on these subjects, she shows that she like kind of wants to be. And so the moments of vulnerability, I think, bring her back down to a place where it's not just childlike, but it's very human. So when she can open that up, and it might be even a tactic that's used with specific experts that are giving her trouble, or maybe not, the interview's not going in the right direction. So, okay, let me humanize myself a little bit more so that this does come across in the way that it's intended. And, like you said, I think it points to just really intelligent writing overall in how it's structured, because there's a lot of gears moving at the same time here to make this work. And I don't know how she doesn't break character with some of this stuff. Like you said, she's been doing this for a really long time at this point, so I get it. But there's got to be this immense level of just quiet confidence underneath all of this, which allows her to operate on all these different frequencies without really feeling like I'm about to ask this stupid question, and I can't break in the process of doing this, or else the jig is up.
They've got to go again. That's the thing. It's one of the most frequent questions when she's asked is how she doesn't break, and her general answer is it's because I know what the cost of breaking is. Because then we've got to not only have we got to then do it again, we've got to reset, and it will just make the day longer. But you've kind of lost the moment. If you break, you've lost the moment, because however you try and ask that question again, it won't be as good the first time. So I agree. I think going back to what we were talking about how skillful and how professional and talented and hardworking you have to be to pull off a character like this. It's a highly underrated skill, and quite annoyingly, it's often mistaken for laziness. Stupidity and laziness are therefore kind of combined. People, that's why people hate her, because they think that the character is just being lazy and dumb, and it's as you say, it's absolutely not that whatsoever.
I mean, like, the character is kind of doing that, but I think that doesn't take into account like the amount of work that goes into building this in a way that seems so authentic that if you're really not paying attention, you cannot tell the difference between someone who actually just is kind of lazy and disinterested versus somebody who has designed an entire character and a philosophy and a backstory and an approach to putting that character on the page and then on the screen. So I can't wait to get to the comments part. But the other half of the equation here is that some of the professors that she talks to, some of these experts, are not people that are friendly to her ignorance.
Yes.
And running into those characters can be combative as well. And one of those is Douglas Headley, the guy with sort of the large bird hair.
I mean, the largest head I think I've ever seen on a it looks like an orange on a toothpick. It is huge.
Yeah, and she skewers him with a very apt description of philosophical reasoning that he was certainly not prepared for, because she describes it as like the pipes in your head. And you can see at first he's like, oh God, my brain is hurting listening to this.
Yeah.
And then by the time she gets to the end of the description, he's like, well, actually, what you've described is quite accurate in terms of two schools of philosophical thought right now. And him having to make that concession, I think, is one of my favorite moments in this episode.
And again, but the reason he keeps engaging, I think, with her is because I think on some level he respects that even though everything she said is nonsense and complete, not just complete nonsense, but just like the type of ramblings you'd like find from someone who's been in a facility for too long, but she's trying. I think that's the thing that that keeps him on the level, is because even though the thought is mental, what is it? Is she saying is it best to push it all out in one go? Basically, as if you're relieving yourself. Like,
yeah.
But exactly, I really respect him. I really do respect him. I think he's speaking of the comments, he's one of the experts who comes in for quite a lot of criticism from people when they watch the clips, and I think a lot of that is down to just his voice and his accent, and perhaps the amount of time he takes to answer a question, because he does talk like this in a very mannered way. You see, and I love Douglas Headley. He's one of my favorites. But that is a great example. Yeah.
And do you know if when the interview is over that this is sort of acknowledged as what it is with the experts? 100%. Like, okay, thank you for participating. I'm Diane Morgan, and this is what we were doing.
So
here.
I don't know specifically. I've watched a lot of interviews and a lot of Q&As with Diane and with Charlie Brooker, and with the director as well. And she has gone out for drinks with them. She loves all the experts. She's gone out for drinks with them all. I think it's now got to the stage where we are here with Cunk'd on Earth, whereby most of the experts in this series are experts that have been used previously. So there is a degree of a relationship there. Certainly Douglas Headley and others have come up in others. However, I still don't think that they can ever really get used to her, because I did write this down earlier. I think in this day and age, unfortunately, there seems to be a much more prevalent apathy and almost mistrust and just brewing negativity towards academia, towards academics.
Yeah.
There is you think you're smarter than me kind of attitude, and you can understand why academics kind of react the way they do, coming back at people. And what we're seeing here is almost that being played out. because there are experts, and Douglas Headley, God bless him, I think he's one of the ones who always attempts to answer her question and to actually reassure her that her question isn't stupid. Whereas there is another expert, is a bald gentleman, I forget his name, but he's in quite a lot of them. At one point, she asks him, why do we need cells? As in cells. And he said, well, of course, everything is made of cells. And she says, well, everything? He says, yes, everything is made of cells. And you can see him kind of getting a little bit, I'll just stop you there, Philomena. Everything is made of cells. And she says, are thoughts made of cells? And he has this, and it's a beautiful moment where you see the frustration flash. He's like, fuck, she got me.
Inside his head, he's like, God damn it.
but again,
and she has to be smart enough to like actually catch somebody being arrogant and being rude and be like, look, you're not as smart as you think you are. You are intelligent, you are an expert in your field, but you're being a prick, and you need to bring that shit down a little bit.
I think a lot of that's in her as an actor. She's a huge fan of Laurel and Hardy. She's a comedian. She works at this. And being able to be light on your feet like that. But also I think there's almost perhaps like just it's in her personality. I've listened to her on other podcasts, and she is remarkably, I don't want to say remarkably similar to Philomena Cunk'd, but she's very no nonsense. She likes what she likes. She knows what she knows. And she's very, she doesn't pussyfoot around in any circumstances. And she will tell people what she thinks. And I think that's part of her character. It's part of her, but it's very much part of the northern psyche in Britain. And yeah, I do love that balance between kind of on one side, you've got this working class, general public, non-academia. And on the other side, you have a very, you have the teacher and student almost, but at a different, it's quite representative of class as well within the UK, which it makes it interesting.
Yeah, it's something that maybe, the more we talked about it, I feel like the more appropriate comparison to this stateside would be Between Two Ferns.
Yes.
With Zach Galifianakis. I feel like that's probably a more apt comparison piece for this, other than it's Zach Galifianakis, like because it's Zach Galifianakis, but yeah, he's talking to basically people who are like experts or specialists in that way, and it gets a little more heated. It's a little more like scripted on both sides, but it has the same kind of energy to some degree. But here, she goes, I think they sort of backloaded this episode with the experts that are a little bit more stiff in their response to her, and we get Nigel Spivey, who she gets into it with about ancient Greece, and she gives him a game of did they invent it or did they perfect it? And it seems pretty straightforward. She's having fun with it. And then she hits him with anal bleaching, and the look on his face as he looks like off camera.
He looks
like, what have you guys done to me?
Oh, I love, because there's something again about the tone of his voice, and he is perhaps what he has struck me as maybe one of the more prickly of the experts, because what does she say? Roads. What does she say? Roads. She builds up to it, doesn't she? Did they invent roads?
Yes, it's roads, language, mathematics, calendar, stuff like that,
and then anal bleaching. And then wonderful. I just love that he says, and he clearly doesn't know what that is. Like either that or he is an exceptional actor. He has. And then I love
I don't think he's
almost with a degree of compassion on her side. Philomena explains to him what anal bleaching is. And then you do that's when the look off camera kind of starts, and he starts to kind of almost roll his shoulders, and I don't know, you feel that tension. I think that's perhaps one of the key elements or ingredients into why this works so well is just simply the tension that is created almost in those gaps between question and answer. You can feel the tension.
You can, and I love that his response after he finds out what it actually is, he says, "Not around
Not
my way,
around
they don't." So he has to like acknowledge that like he's learning something from her, and like regardless of whether or not it's something important for him to know, it's like this sort of tacit acknowledgement of just because you're an expert in the field doesn't mean you know everything about everything. And she's very good at, I think, getting these people to get into these types of situations in conversation. But while we're here, you know, I said I had a surprise for you. And when she starts talking about Greece, she starts talking about empires. And she says, you know, these famous empires like Rome or Star Wars, right? So now we're gonna play Rome or Star Wars, and I'm gonna have you go through some quotes here, and you're gonna tell me this came from ancient Rome or Star Wars. I don't want to spend the entire show doing this, but I do have several of them on each side. So let's start with this one. The only certainty is that nothing is certain.
The only certainty is that nothing is certain. It feels like a Yoda type of question, but that could very easily be something from. I'm going to go Star Wars.
That's Rome. That's from Pliny the Elder.
Off to a good start.
Off to a good start. I think, well, because I think as ridiculous as it sounds in the beginning, that these are the two empires of note, that, oh, these things don't have anything in common. And I was like, you know what? They just might. So I was like, let me put this together and see what
this
happens.
is also a perfect example because people are going to either believe or not believe that I'm being genuine when I'm answering these questions in a similar way to Philomena and the experts. I promise you, I am going to answer these straight. Go on.
And I promise you, the audience, that I have not given him these questions beforehand. These were all done in secret so that I could set him up just like this. In the spirit of Philomena. So let's see. Let's go with another one. I don't need a friend who changes when I change and who nods when I nod. My shadow does that much better.
That sounds like Rome. That's too.
That's right.
It is. Oh,
that's Plutarch.
Okay, Plutarch. Excellent. Okay. Well.
All right. Let's see what else we got. All right. To die for one's people is a great sacrifice. To live for one's people, an even greater sacrifice. I choose to live for my people.
I mean, it sounds too sincere to be Star Wars. Although, God, these are really good.
Thank you.
Can I go Rome again? Rome.
It's Star Wars. I think it was from Andor or Rogue One. It's Rio Chichi. I think that was I don't know if that's the character or the actor. I wrote down most of this. Okay. Let's do two more. Maybe I'll save the rest of them for another episode. That way we don't go through all like 12 of them right now. Okay, let's see. Make 10 men feel like 100.
Has to be Rome.
Nope. Star Wars again.
The worst.
That was Cassian Andor.
Do you know what I studied at college?
You studied? Did you? It wasn't this college, though.
History.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We'll go one more. Okay. So we must work at our profession and not make anybody else's idleness an excuse for our own. There is no lack of readers and listeners. It is for us to produce something worth being written and heard.
Rome.
That is Rome. That's Pliny the Younger.
Excellent.
So you got the Plinies, I think, right?
The Plutarchs.
No, you got Plutarch and Pliny. That's
Plutarch
right.
and Pliny's are my boys. Those are my boys. But that's bad, Nick. That's bad. I got 2 out of 5 there, didn't I?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think she made a very good point in that while these two empires seem like they should not be mentioned in the same sentence, in reality, when you pull quotes from both, then
there you go.
It's not that easy to discern.
No.
So, yeah, that's we'll save the rest of them for another episode. But we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 left. So we can do 5 on the next one and then 5 on the one after that.
I love that. Love that. What's the name of that game? Star Wars or Rome?
Star Wars or Rome.
I say
really, really heady
I
stuff.
say I love it. I think I have a feeling I will come to hate it with a passion.
Yeah, possibly. So yeah, she goes through all this with this guy and his anal bleaching, and I forgot what she said, but I put in my notes that James Corden was catching strays here at the end of the episode.
I believe it was something along the lines of smugger than James Corden, which is an excellent one as well. That she does have, and I love that. Okay, I love that we've kind of gone from Romans to and we're Greeks and so on and so forth. Because I do love the part when she's talking about the philosophers, and I believe one of the she says, perhaps the most famous form of wrestling that the Greeks invented was mental wrestling or thinking.
Yeah.
And then I think she follows it up with one of my all-time favorites, something along the lines of philosophy is just basically thinking, or thinking a lot and really hard. And then something about how a philosopher will tell you, will start telling you that the time that they've invested thinking about that never existed in the first place. But by this point, you've probably already switched off and gone and opened a packet of biscuits.
She has some good stuff in this episode, and I think when she first gets to Greece, or I'm not sure if it's Greece or Rome, but she's standing like in one of the amphitheaters, and she's just like says like, "Oh yes, theater in all its tedious forms," and like that gave me a good chuckle, because she's again just representing sort of like the everyday person that's like, yeah, I'm not really into theater. I want to see. I want to see some shit explode on the big screen.
And I can't wait to get into this with you. I think clearly she does, but also whoever's writing this as well, whoever the writers are, they have such a disdain for the theater that
interesting.
Oh, they really. I think one of the ones about Abraham Lincoln was that someone finally put him out of his misery.
Oh Jesus.
During the third act. Oh, that was it. It was sad that it wasn't until the third act that someone put him out of his misery. Like, I just, yeah, sorry. But yes.
Yikes. Oh no, that's okay. That's good. That's going to be in a future installment. I don't know what episode 2 has in store for me just yet. Oh, this is the Faith Off. This is they end the episode with the teaser for Christianity versus Islam. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. That's a cliffhanger right there.
Oh, listen, I can't wait to talk about that with you, because it is perhaps the most prevalent comment/question on all of the social media posts. Whenever she says anything about Christianity, let's just say there's 100 comments underneath. If anything is about Christianity or Jesus or God, it will go, I love her, this is hilarious, funny quote, funny quote, funny quote. Then, usually from someone with the name like Nigel or Baz or Steve, it will come up, yeah, this is funny, but she wouldn't do this about Islam. And then the same thing will happen again. Love her, funny quote, do Islam. I can't wait to unpack that with you. It's such an interesting conversation.
All right. Well, that's gonna be episode 2. We'll have a little less like housekeeping on the front end, so we can dive straight into that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're still here. I asked you to go through your comments section uh, for the clips that you shared from this episode,
Ah,
and now I'm really interested to hear what are the worst comments that we got. Maybe not even some of the worst, but what are your favorite
my
comments
favorite
that popped up
comments.
on these videos?
Oh, my. I want to start by just saying that um, it depends on the platform. When I started doing these, and I started because of the nature of the show, because it's such clippable. Oh, don't say it. Say it. Clippable content. It is such clippable and shareable content. I always kept them to under a minute so that I could share on YouTube and the copyright doesn't get infringed. I don't make any money off of sharing these videos.
I want to make it very clear that you do not
I do
profit from
not
sharing these
profit
videos. So
in any
do not come
way.
after
In
us.
fact, listen, I'm making a loss here. Honestly, the BBC and Netflix should be paying me to do this. Like, I
Yeah.
am working for free, but I'm not. I'm working for the love of it. I love, as I've said, I love the writing. I love her as a character. I think more people should see it. When I first started doing it on YouTube, I was releasing them on TikTok, Insta, and YouTube. And YouTube was by far and away the most popular in terms of the numbers of views and numbers of interactions and comments to start with. And I know that demographic in terms of my subscribers and the people watching. And what you had was a majority of UK audience, and then about a third underneath of that would have been the US, and then a number of other countries. Interestingly, when I started, um, one of the key things that really blew my mind was that Germany, people in Germany really like Philomena Cunk'd. They really resonate with her humor. And I looked at the stats. Germany is a very sharp, like upward curve as soon as I started doing them. But to be honest, over the last few months, kind of YouTube has kind of tailed off a bit. I think because you can only have so much of one thing. You reach a saturation point with Cunk'd. The difference is that with Instagram, it's a very different split. I have much more American followers, not followers of me, but sorry, watchers of these clips. So it's a much higher American split. It's a much closer 50-50 gender split as well in terms of male female. YouTube was much more towards the male side of things, and just the general tone of the comments very different. YouTube again tended to be men, and yeah, just be honest, just say that a lot of it was from people not getting the jokes at all. So I'll just scroll through here and I'll just read out a couple from YouTube. Let's have a look here.
Please, I mean, if anybody that's listening to this ever spent any time in the YouTube's comment section, it can get really dark really fast.
Oh, it really can. And I have to be honest, it was my joy at the initial success of many people watching these videos was tempered instantly by the comments. And I swear to God, Nick, there were days where, because I was growing the channel, I'd have to go in and do the admin. So I'd have to go in and go through all the comments, like, reply, go through the hidden comments, which YouTube had blocked. And my God, Nick, like there were days where I really had to like steel myself, like really emotionally and mentally prepare myself to go into the comments, because it was just very depressing. And the thing with it is you go through a stage at the beginning of wanting to answer everyone. So when someone says, "Is this real? This can't be real. Is this funny?" Now, first of all, I'm not answering that question. Is this funny? If you're writing a comment under a video saying, "Is this funny?" I don't have time. I really don't. But but for those people who,
short answer, yeah, a lot of people think
a
so.
lot of people think so. Read the other comments. Here we go. Here's one. Do you people seriously think that this is a joke? Are you all brain dead? That's just from one person. Here we go. Listening to,
So this is directed at the people that do think that the show is funny.
yes, and then
saying that we're brain dead for finding it funny.
finding it funny. Listening to Philomena Cunk'd is like listening to a brain aneurysm.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. There are others here, and again, these are all YouTube. I know this is. Here we go. I know this is comedy. This is okay. I'm just going to stop it there because this happens so often. People begin their comment with "This is funny" or "I know this is funny," but, and then comes the but, and then comes the but, and the but is always the same. It's not funny because this is actually a really serious topic. If it doesn't matter if it's about climate change or Donald Trump or Elon Musk or anything like that. People will start with, yeah, this is really funny, but actually it's really not funny and you shouldn't be joking about it. And Ali G did it better. It always I wish people had the listen. Before I get carried away with the comments, there is one conversation I had with someone on there, which I think is important. It does blow my mind that the kind of the latest generations and the environments that they've grown up in, specifically around social media and online. I believe there is a sense of entitlement that because something is a piece of content and it's online, that you have to. It's not that you're entitled to comment. It's almost like an inherent feeling that you have a responsibility to comment. And that works if you like the thing you're watching. And on Instagram, it's a great example. If you look through the comments, heart emojis, laughing emojis, all the way down. And then you'll get someone to go, I don't think this is funny. Did your grandmother never teach you, like, if you don't have anything positive to say, don't say anything at all? Like, it's literally like walking up to a group of people, because this person as well, also, by the way, has had to scroll through hundreds of comments of people who clearly love it. And so this person is kind of literally walking up to a group of people, all laughing over the same joke. And he's waited for it to go deadly silent. And then he's gone, yeah, it's not funny. It's rude. In my opinion, it's rude. If you don't think something's funny, stop watching. Go on with the rest of your day. Have a nice life. I don't see I don't understand the compulsion to try and burst people's bubbles. Do you know what I mean? You understand?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've sort of adopted that in my own life for many years now. And I think I think you were right though, that like being part of social media, like if you're on a platform where you are basically just projecting your thought to the world, whether it's stupid or not, whether it's funny or not, whether you're saying something offensive or not, sort of as a viewer of social media, it's like I'm seeing it. So there is, it feels like there's a weird tether where it's like I'm supposed to say something here.
Yes.
And I don't. Like, most of my time on social media is scrolling through it, not replying to anything, and then just closing it. Mm-hmm. And there's definitely been times where I see something and I'm like, I want to bury this person, but this is not a good use of my time and it will not have a good outcome regardless. So it's like, if that's what they want to say and believe, like, that's fine. I'm too old for this shit.
Mm-hmm. But the types of things you're talking about there tend to be when people are either being deceptive or representing something in a completely skewed light for the benefit of their own agenda. That's understandable. This is comedy, though. Like, this is comedy. Correct. This is comedy. If you don't find it funny, fuck off and keep walking. It's fine. It's okay. I just want to give you a couple of examples here, because the ones which really really get to people are quite often the ones. Now, do you know, familiar with Professor Brian Cox?
No, I don't think so.
He's kind of our, how would I say this? He's our Bill Nye. Is it Bill Nye the Science Guy? That's the guy?
He is a person.
Well, okay, so he's our version of that, but he's cool and he's quite sexy. And he looks like, I don't know, some people have likened him to Keanu Reeves, but he's a physicist. Now, he had a whole series of documentaries which are actually what this Philomena Cunk'd series is kind of based on and taking the mick out of, called Wonders of the Universe. And he would say, he has this wonderful kind of Midland Sheffield accent, and he'd say things like, far away in space, you have the sun, which is 60 billion light years from Earth, and then you go further and you've got an even bigger star, which is 6 trillion sizes. That, like, it gets to the point where the numbers are so big that you're just like, I don't have a frame of reference anymore. Professor Brian Cox appears in Cunk'd on Earth, and he appears as an expert. One of the latest ones I put out is about him talking to her about how the Large Hadron Collider at CERN is not used to discover chakras within the human body. But people get very offended on the behalf of the experts in the comments. They really, really do, because just to go back to what we were saying at the beginning, I think people if they don't understand the motivation behind the show, or just the mere fact that it's a comedy, they think this is a waste of time of a man who has important things to do, and they're unable to switch their focus to realize he's chosen to do this. These experts have made a choice. They're getting paid.
Yeah, and the irony, I think, ultimately is that you're taking on victimhood for somebody who you are saying is having their time wasted. You're claiming A, B, and C is a waste of time, yet you are wasting your time reading through YouTube comments, commenting into a void where like nothing is going to come from that. So to chastise the show and the characters and the producers for wasting time when you are literally watching YouTube videos of said wasted time, seems like you're wasting time.
On the,
just saying.
on the topic side of thing, that's a very interesting one, because in the first episode that we've just kind of covered, there's some big ones. You've got like ancient history, you've got the pyramids, you've got the evolution of man, and so on.
Yeah,
there are some topics coming up in this series which really push people's buttons, and as you can tell, Philomena Cunk'd and the writing does not hold back. It really doesn't. And in terms of religion and science, and I mean, evolution is one which really gets people going. So here we go. I'm just going to read a comment here. Here, this is quite a good one. It's from Bardia660. This is when she's talking to an expert about Charles Darwin and how did Charles Darwin invent the monkey. And this person is a really good comment here. We laugh, but unfortunately, that is most people's view of evolution. I wouldn't maybe go as far as that, but I think the point stands. On YouTube with that particular clip about evolution, I think I went away for a weekend and came back, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to. I'll take 10 minutes out to go through the comments and just do all the likes and stuff. About 3 hours later, I was still there, Nick. I was still there on the Charles Darwin one, because, and I love this. I absolutely love this. An entire conversation. I'm going to call it a conversation. Started. I think it's up to maybe about 300 comments now, and it's just two people going back and forward over a specific type of evolutionary theory, and they're going at it, hammer and tongs. Like they've been going at it for months now. They're still talking on this YouTube video, and part of me really likes that. But then it goes back to what you said earlier. Like, life's fucking short, mate. Isn't it? Like, life's too
short for that.
Too short.
My life's too short for that.
And but this is, if you were having that conversation on a YouTube video, like a serious YouTube video about evolution, that's fine. But you're having it underneath Philomena Cunk'd on Charles Darwin on YouTube.
I think you've missed the point here, gents.
Yeah.
I commented randomly on someone's YouTube video, just being very sincere and saying, like, thank you for doing this in a way that, like, spells it out on a timeline, making it engaging, injecting humor into it. Keep up the good work. And then, like, someone sub-commented on that and be like, you spelled humor wrong. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And then they wanted to argue with me about the spelling of it. And it was like, this is just a lonely person. And then a third person chimed in and was like, you guys are idiots. And I'm like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here, sir? And I was just like, look, all I did was want to say thank you to the video creator for taking the time to do something that I found value in. And now I have random strangers across the internet wanting to correct me on something that wasn't wrong in the first place.
One of my, and I think, I don't think this is a spoiler because I'm not sure if it's actually in this series or not, but it's one of the most famous clips of Philomena Cunk'd is when she's talking to Professor Ashley Jackson, I think, and people will know him as the very kind of stern-faced, silver-haired, quite a big guy, very, very long earlobes. I don't know why that is important.
Very distinct.
But she's asking him about the fact that does Britain have nuclear weapons anymore? And he says, well, yes, they do. They have quite a lot of nuclear weapons. And she says, but I thought they were all blanks. They're all blanks, aren't they? There's not actual nuclear warheads in there. And he goes on to say, no, they really are. Like, the threat of nuclear extermination is very, very real. And she breaks down in tears. It's a wonderful moment. She has this wonderful, vulnerable human moment where she's absolutely inconsolable. And it's a beautiful stretch of time where it's just her sobbing and him just looking at her. And then she says, can we talk about something more cheerful? And he says, anything you like. And it's the tone of voice that your dad or your uncle would say, like, anything you like. And she says, do you like ABBA? And he says, I love it. He says, I love ABBA. I love ABBA. And it's the way he comes back with it that makes it kind of makes your heart leap a little bit. It's like, oh, God bless this man. And she goes, yeah. What's your favorite ABBA song? And he goes, and he says, Dancing Queen. And she goes, Dancing Queen. Yeah. Now, it's one of the most beautiful moments of comedy / human drama I've ever seen. But that still doesn't mean that out of the 100 comments on the Insta video, at least 6% of them are people going, I can't fucking stand it when people pronounce nuclear wrong. that guy has just inspired millions of people over the world for how to treat someone when they're feeling vulnerable. But there's still a small percentage of people who will think he's a prick because he didn't pronounce the word nuclear right.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to end it because we've got a lot of food for thought moving forward too. Maybe if this show gets enough traction, Diane Morgan will come on the show and talk to us. We'll make it happen. Make it happen.
My heart.
Don't worry. You can fanboy, and I'll be like, I'm only recently familiarizing myself with your work.
Oh, mate.
So please, by all means.
Oh, listen. There are so many good things that have been happening in my life recently. I'm gonna just. Yeah. I can't begin to think of things like that. But
all right. Well, let's keep the trajectory going.
Yes.
And we'll put a pin in it. Have you been practicing your American accent?
Practicing. Yeah, I mean,
take that as a no.
No, not really. I'll tell you why, and I blame it's Adrian Brody's fault. It's Adrian Brody's fault for talking for 5 minutes at the Oscars. I don't want to hear another American accent that isn't yours ever again.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, well, I'll work on my British. can work on your American, and next time we reconvene, we'll both jump into it.
Perfect. I cannot wait.
Perfect.
Perfect.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, this has been fun, man.
Yes,
and we'll do it again soon.
Lovely. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Cunk'd. Join us next time for episode 2 of Cunk'd on Earth, Faith Off. Cunk'd was created and hosted by Nick Sheist and Skadooosch, and is recorded, edited, and produced at Sheist Podcast Studios. Our theme music is written and performed by Mike Willoughby.